Welcome to another change-making conversation from Baptist News Global. You're listening to a special podcast series titled Highest Power, Church and State, featuring writer, poet, and musician Rick Pidcock. Now here's Rick.
As I sat down to plan this evening's podcast, I posted on Facebook, where on earth do you even begin? Because right now, the list of nonsense seems overwhelming. Diana Butler Bass posted last night on Blue Sky, I think it's safe to say that Trump, his cabinet, and his administration make the stupidest choice regarding absolutely everything. On the domestic front, we're still dealing with inflation and affordability. There's the conflict between the Trump administration and institutions like the courts, agencies, or the Federal Reserve. The administration is attacking the media, museums, the entire health industry, scientific research, and any attempt to care for the environment. There's the mass firings of black people through the attack on DEI. There's also the demonization of trans people. And don't forget the Epstein files, where Trump's name appears over 38,000 times. Of course, many of the instances are simply references to news articles, but they also include allegations from at least one woman claiming Trump sexually assaulted her when she was between 13 to 15 years old. And then there's the immigration story. As we've reported at Baptist News Global, the administration continues purchasing warehouses to house immigrants in, and there's no interest by the administration in investigating the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. But last week, Kristi Noem had to stand before Congress to testify about their unwillingness to investigate anything, and Republican Senator Tom Tillis was having none of it.
And Mr. Chair, in my remaining time, I have a lot to go. But I want to submit this letter from the Office of Inspector General that cites 10 different instances under Ms. Noem's leadership where they've been misled and not allowed to pursue investigations that they think are critically important. Does anybody have any idea how bad it has to be for the OIG in this agency to come out and do this publicly? That is stonewalling, that's a failure of leadership, and that is why I've called for your resignation. And if I don't get an answer to these questions, I don't want an applause. Please don't do that for me. If I don't get an answer to these questions, if I don't get an answer that you've had a month to respond to, and the remaining ones, as of today, I'll be informing leadership that I'm putting a hold on any en-bloc nominations until I get a response. And in 2 weeks, if I don't get a response, I'm going to deny quorum and markup in as many committees as I can until I get a response.
Ultimately, however, Trump decided to move on from Noem as the Director of Homeland Security. On one hand, it's good she's no longer in that position, but it doesn't mean much if he doesn't also charge and prosecute the men who murdered Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the non-white people whose names we don't know, that Noem covered up for. Of course, Trump didn't fire Noem or hold her accountable. Instead, he simply gave her a new position by naming her Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. And what is the Shield of the Americas? The Trump administration hasn't really told us, other than Trump calling it a new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. Noem said, in this new role, I will be able to build on the partnerships and national security expertise I forged over the last 13 months as Secretary of Homeland Security. Is this justice? Because it feels more like a cover-up. And don't expect Trump's conservative evangelical base to care. They aren't at all going to be bothered by Trump simply moving Greg Bovino and Kristi Noem to other job locations after clear evidence of abuse and cover-ups. They've been doing this with their pastors for decades, moving them from one church to another, and sweeping everything under the rug. And who is Trump replacing Noem with? Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. You may remember him from this exchange.
Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, every poet?
No, sit down.
Right, you're a clown.
Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr. Chairman?
Hold it. If we can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and bullies.
And
that's what-
I don't like you, because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it.
Of course, being professional isn't exactly the Trump administration's MO. Don't forget, Trump hired a 22-year-old with no national security experience to oversee DHS's terrorism prevention programs. But don't worry. As RFK Jr. said, the guy in charge of our healthcare, we need to stop trusting experts. And why would we be worried about terrorist attacks anyway? It's not like we're at war or anything.
Looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours.
It's quite disturbing to hear the level of inhumanity and delighting in violence coming from the Secretary of Defense or War or whatever he wants to call himself. But surely Congress would try to temper the bloodthirstiness, right? Enter Senator Lindsey Graham on Fox News.
We're going to win.
All right,
Israel and the United States, you just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
We're going to blow the hell out of these people.
Okay, well, then maybe Congress will at least limit Trump's violent distraction from the Epstein files to Iran.
I mean, I'm not looking for a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay tuned.
Yep.
The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this hat? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
Cuba? We're already supposedly taking over Venezuela, Iran, and Gaza. We're threatening Greenland and Canada. At one point, we were talking about the Panama Canal. And now we're talking about Cuba? I guess canals weren't enough. We had to go after entire countries, too. If we keep at this, at some point we're going to run out of ammunition. In fact, at some point we're going to run out of soldiers, especially given how many generals and commanders we've fired, and how many other soldiers we've gotten rid of essentially for not being straight white Christian conservative men. Are we going to end up having a draft to have our kids fight Trump's wars? White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt tells Fox News that Trump won't rule it out.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
So where are the Christians here? Where are the prophets? The problem is that we don't simply need Christians to stand up to all this nonsense. We need Republican Christians to do so. If every Democrat, Christian or not, stood up to the Trump administration, they still wouldn't be able to stop all this nonsense. The longer these wars continue, the higher gas prices are going to rise, the costs of living are going to rise, and death tolls are going to rise. If we're going to stop it before the midterms, we're going to need Republican Christians. And what's especially frustrating here is that we don't even need all Republican Christians. We don't even need half of them. As Jamar Tisby said on The Convocation Unscripted, we just need 6.
I'm incensed that this group of so-called leaders is so gleeful about violence. They're like children with toys, but the toy is the military and the ability to kill people.
Yep.
What on earth? Never, ever would we allow people like this to be in charge of a school, a city police station, a city council, and yet they are in charge of the federal government, the biggest military on the planet, and they are wholly unqualified, and we can't find 6 righteous people on the other side of the aisle to do a darn thing about it.
But we don't have 6, because Republican Christians are too busy singing songs about the highest power at the White House. This is case in point for my upcoming book, Weapons of Worship: How the Songs of Evangelicalism Form the Soundtrack of Extremism. They think they're being all humble by singing about Jesus' name standing above all thrones and dominions, all powers and positions. But what they're really doing is setting up a hierarchy where our democracy dissolves into evangelical power. For our nation to be humbled before God, one nation under God, in this framework, we must be ruled by evangelicals. So they're using worship as a weapon for seeing and taking power over their neighbors. One way they're blurring these lines between state and church is through supporting Erica Kirk's political propaganda church tour, where they brand the promotion of MAGA politicians as following Jesus.
Hello, everybody. Jack Graham here with Erica Kirk, and we are at Prestonwood in our worship center thinking about anticipating a great event coming up on April the 29th. It's called Making Heaven Crowded. And you're going to speak?
Yes, and so are you.
I'm going to speak.
We're so blessed and so grateful for all of your support. And we are just thrilled that you are behind us and just really honored and excited to see what the Lord's going to do.
Yeah, these events are taking place all over the country. It's part of a Turning Point USA Faith. And our friend Lucas Miles, along with others, will be speaking. We're going to fill this house to God's glory and probably overflow it. And the goal is to unite the church in bringing people to Christ.
Amen.
Preaching the gospel, preaching truth, bringing people to Christ. And Erica, we're so grateful for you and thankful for you, the way you're leading forward. And so these events that will be taking place all over the country, you're here with our students today, making a difference. So we're grateful, and join us on April the 29th for Make Heaven Crowded.
We'll see you guys there. God bless you.
White evangelicals think they're simply being biblical. They're simply glorifying God in all they say and do, including their politics. But where exactly are they getting their bloodthirsty obsession with World War III from in the Bible? How about the Sermon on the Mount? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Or how about the fruit of the Spirit? But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. What about 1 Corinthians 13? If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Are these passages compatible with bombing 200 children at an elementary school? Are these passages compatible with the way Pete Hegseth delights in the violence, in the death and destruction from the sky that he is raining down on people? Anyone who's halfway honest with themselves knows that they don't. What's really going on here is that white evangelicals are doing exactly what they accuse progressive and liberal Christians of doing. They're picking and choosing which part of the Bible they're going to follow and emphasize. And what part of the Bible do they choose to follow and emphasize today? Here's MAGA pastor Shane Vaughn sharing. In fact, I'll give him the final word so we can all sit with the vision he and the Trump-supporting Christian nationalist evangelicals around us are carrying out in the world today.
You know, there was a man in the Bible by the name of King Saul. And God saw that there was a group of people called the Amalekites that hated Israel. The Amalekites had one desire: to destroy Israel from under the sun. And God raised up King Saul and told Saul, I want you to preemptively strike the Amalekites. I want you to go in and kill every man, woman, boy, and girl. And I don't want you to explain it to Congress. I don't want you to explain it to anybody. I want you to do what needs to be done to preserve my people a little longer on the face of the earth. Now, if King Saul was to do that today, the entire world would turn against him. But you see, when God is in something and a man doesn't care what the world thinks, he is obeying the dictates of God himself. When God raised up Donald Trump, Iran is to America what Amalek was to Israel. The same thing.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast platform. And we'll be back with another episode on Thursday.
This has been another change-making conversation from Baptist News Global. The episode you've just heard is part of a special podcast series titled Highest Power, Church and State. Be sure to follow BNG daily at baptistnews.com and subscribe to get notifications about future episodes. Baptist News Global is a national nonprofit news service that is independent, free, and faithful. BNG is supported by readers and listeners like you. Learn more at baptistnews.com.
This episode was produced and edited by Mac Bowles of TKG Communications, LLC, Dallas, Texas.